Hello everyone, welcome back to another N-Gauge layout update. As you can see, I have ballasted the track. I had two types of ballast, so not exactly 50 shades of grey, but I had some grey ballast and some sort of orangey brown ballast, which is N-Gauge ballast. So looking at it, I thought, well, I've got quite a reasonable quantity of both types, so I thought I'm going to crack on and get this done, because this layout is being done on a budget, so I don't really want to spend, more money on materials that I already have and things that I can already, put to good use from leftovers from other layouts. So I've ballasted the track today. I've PVA'd it with the PVA solution, water and a little drop of washing up liquid. And I used one of my Expo glue syringes, and as you can see, it might look like a disaster area at the moment, but when it dries it will look pretty good. Now, using two types of ballast, as you can see there where the lighter grey is, I've touched it up a bit with some darker ballast. Well, on the real railway network you do see different shades of ballast, where other ballast has been brought in just to sort of touch up existing ballast. So sections are replaced with different shades of ballast. I've also used some green flock scatter there, because in a lot of terminus stations you go to, you do see a bit of overgrowth infringing the track work. As you can see there, I've ballasted through the back seam, so it doesn't just end abruptly. I've also used a little bit more overgrowth on the end of the platform there and in the station throat area. I haven't ballasted the point work as such where the blades are, but looking at it, because N-Gauge track is obviously quite small and the sleepers are quite thick, I don't think it's really going to be an issue. The purists and rivet counters might disagree, but for what I want the layout for, I'm prepared to leave it at that, because I have ballasted point work before in N-Gauge and I've ruined perfectly good layouts, even though I've tried to avoid getting ballast in the point blades and frogs and everything. It still somehow gets in there. So I've ballasted all the way down here, and again through the back seam, so it sort of ends there, so that it doesn't just end abruptly at the tunnel mouth. I'm happy with this. This layout is supposed to be an example of how you can knock up a layout on a budget in a short space of time. And I'm doing this as a side project to my 00 gauge layout, but there's no reason why people with that lead hectic lifestyles can't knock something up like this and work on it. And this is, even though I've done this over a couple of weeks with the updates, the actual working time on it is probably no more than about 5 or 6 hours. So it is possible. Another little job I need to do is just cover those gaps where the balsa wood platform sections join together. Another thing that I've been looking at is the station oval roof. Now, I was going to use the Pico 00 gauge oval roofs, but I found a couple of really good bits of balsa wood, and I thought, why not, this is just a mock-up, why not actually build a balsa wood oval roof. Now, that's just a mock-up. You can see where I've got the pillars where the sections will be cut out to allow the tracks to go through, but I thought doing something like that, and then maybe having another one at the back of the station, and then putting some sort of sides on and some strands across and leaving it as a sort of skeleton oval roof so I can get access to the trains, and just doing it like that. Obviously I paint that up. This is a mock-up, but I may cut this out and paint it and weather it and use it, because I've got some really good thick balsa wood which I could use, and it'll be more of a sturdy structure. The other thing with the Pico 00 is, looking at it, I could probably get a pillar there, but then when they go across, it was going to come to about there in between those tracks. The next one across wouldn't be able to fit, so I looked at it, and I thought, well, I can either use the roofs on my own, putting them across the other way, so instead of portrait, if you like, just flipping them around so they're landscape, but even then I'm still going to have a problem, and that won't look very good, because German terminus stations have these sort of grand oval roofs with a clock on the front, and I want to capture that sort of that atmosphere. So that's something that I'm looking at it doing, because I can cut this out, I can put some sides on, and then put some strips of wood or card along to make a sort of representation of the roof. Now I don't have to put the actual glass or, you know, plastic sort of material to represent the glass in. I can just paint this up, weather it, and leave it as a representation of an oval roof. I think that might look quite reasonable, so that's something that I am actually thinking of doing. So the main job today was to get the ballast done, so I've done that. I've weathered it sort of up a bit with some green foliage flock scatter to make it look a bit overgrown. This area here, the station throat area, I've tried to make it look a bit scruffy, a bit untidy, because you do see that a lot of stations where the overgrowth and, you know, wooden sleeper track, and you know, you can see evidence of a lot of use, a lot of trains going over it. The darker shade of ballast is sort of designed to be newer ballast that's been replaced, and they haven't quite got round to, you know, reballasting the whole station yet. They've just used some of the newer ballast to patch up areas of the old ballast. It's like a transition sort of period. This is like this station would be in a city where there is maybe another 1 or 2 main stations, so this is like, you know, the third main sort of station, so naturally it's going to be a little bit run down, if you like, even though it's a busy mainline station. I think, I mean, I like that. Some people might not agree. They might think, well, you know, wouldn't it be better to keep all the same shade of ballast? Well, looking at that, yes, you could argue that, but if it's all grey or all brown, it looks a bit, you know, basic. I like to mix it up a bit and do some discoloration and some patchy sort of areas, because I think that looks quite realistic. I've seen evidence of that. Certain railway stations I've been to here and abroad, where you do get patchy sort of ballast, a bit of overgrowth. The line at the back there is nicely ballasted, so you can see the permanent way guys have been ballasting and you know, gradually getting round to redoing everything. But I think that looks quite good. I'm happy with it, and I haven't spent any money on the ballast, nothing at all, so you know, I'm pleased with that. I'm trying to think of a name for this station. I did think about calling it Shelfingen HBF N, and the reason being, the baseboard is 8 foot by 2, but it is like a large shelf really, so I thought, well, with a little bit of a German ring to it, Shelfingen, and I could call it Bad Shelfingen, because my woodwork skills are, well, entry level, shall we say, good enough to knock a baseboard up of this size anyway. So it's either going to be Bad Shelfingen or just Shelfingen. I think Shelfingen sounds better. I'll do myself an injustice with my woodwork, but I like that name, and I can see this, you know, already I'm getting a feel for the atmosphere coming on, and the layout is brought to life by the ballasting, as I said previously. You know, once you've got this bit out of the way, you're well on the way then. So it's scenics next, and the station, and before you know it, it looks something like a model railway layout. Anyway, that's it for this update. It's a bonus update today because I had some time on my hands to do this. So I will be concentrating on building the station oval roof next, and I'll update you accordingly. Okay, thanks for watching.